A bad teacher has a worse influence on society than a drug dealer. A bad teacher can make hundreds of people hate a subject, or even school, for their whole life. This means while an average drug dealer has bad influence on society and on their clients, if we compare individually one teacher and one drug dealer, it's debatable if having a bad influence on the education and professional life of hundreds of children is worse or not than selling drugs to a smaller fraction of the people. I think it is. Furthermore, a child giving up school while young because of a teacher is way more likely to die young or to go to jail, or even to become a drug dealer. Which is quite ironic here, because if a bad teacher caused only one dealer, he has had a worse influence than a dealer. For those of you who will say that drug dealers actually kill people when teachers don't, a lot of people turn to drugs. Excluding medicinal, in indirect consequence of quitting school, which is not to blame only on teachers, but they should take a part of the blame, and a huge one in some cases. P.S. I am not defending drug dealing, I am just comparing it to teachers. Edit. I appreciate so much the work that passionate teachers make and the incredibly positive impact they've had on my life and the ones of billions of people. This post is about bad teachers, but I have to make it clear good teachers exist too. Kids spend many hours of the most important stages of life with teachers. Doubtless it makes a huge impact on their growth. The thing is, society doesn't put enough importance on teachers, so basically anyone can go become an elementary teacher. It's even more so with parents. As a guy who took a class in pedagogy, I can definitely agree. In fairness, a teacher will give a lasting impact to their students in the long run. They can make students disinterested in learning and even cause the students to see things are out of their hands. This is especially true with mathematics, where students start thinking they won't be good at math, thereby ruining their chances in learning and making them see that things are out of their locus of control. What if that bad teacher is your drug dealer? A bad seminary teacher made me realize religion is a joke. A bad English teacher made me realize adults can be morons as well. They may have been bad, but I learned from the experience and used it to my advantage. Swap parent for teacher and you might be onto something. Great opinion. True. I had an instructor in college who told the whole class that we weren't going to amount to anything since we were just in community college. I know I wasn't really much of a kid at the time, but that still hurt. Unpopular but 100% correct. In addition to what you point out, a bad teacher can also spread misinformation that people will hold to their whole lives. Walter White equals Satan. An excellent math teacher I had in middle school made a change of my life positively. Without bad teachers, drug dealers become way less present. I know there are great teachers out there, but sometimes I hear some crazy stories about some of the teachers at my kids' schools. So I would agree with you there. Also, like the other guy mentioned, bad parents I would say are far worse having than a bad teacher. This is why I'm becoming a teacher, to fix that problem. I care too much about kids to see them get their lives ruined by horrible teachers. As a teacher, I reject the comparison to drug dealers. My car is trash. I agree. Some teachers seem to take pride in how many people fail, or quit their class. As if that's their job. My 4th grade teacher completely ruined learning or speaking up forever for me. My wife is a first teacher. Trust me when I say, the bad influences are at home. Not in the school. She's had 6-year-olds get to school smelling like weed, not having clothes washed or bathed for days and weeks at a time. The principal keeps clean uniforms in her office for these kids, dropping F-bombs and using racial slurs in class. And these are literally first graders. There are some crap teachers out there, but the majority of them are the best influence kids have. I would love to hear smart students saying, I am smart and I want to be a low-pay teacher when I grow up with tons of student debt. Bad teachers can also make children believe they aren't smart, contributing to the notion that the kid can't do well in school and ultimately not pursue higher education. Drug dealers are a weird thing to compare them to, but I completely agree, not only through causing disinterest but through spreading biased or incorrect information. I am a teacher and I think I am a good one, but I see so many students discouraged or disengaged in academics because of teachers' weary face. It's such a sad system when bad teachers keep their jobs and crush the souls of students. Absolutely. In addition, good teachers need more credit. From until grade 12 I had mostly average to bad English teachers, so I didn't enjoy it at all. But in grade 12 I had the best teacher who was amazing and got a 93 in her class, where other years I struggled to get 85. Depends on the drug dealer. And the teacher, and what the drug dealer is peddling. Really addictive and destructive drugs don't just affect the person addicted, they can affect the people who know that person too. That's one of the hallmarks of addiction, is that relationships suffer because of it. Usually the worst is a bad teacher will get some kids temporarily hating a particular subject, which could be redeemed later if they come across a teacher who is better at enthusing them on the subject. Had that happen, myself. Far easier to overcome the dislike of a particular subject than a drug addiction. But honestly, it's kind of silly to compare. I'm not sure what the takeaway is supposed to be, exactly. Maybe I've seen too much serious Reddit lately and have forgotten that some things are just silly thoughts. 100% agree. I've had the misfortune of having a lot of bad teachers. I've dropped out of high school and college. I hate school beyond human comprehension. I am a teacher and I approve this message. It's sad how much influence a bad teacher can have on a student during their developing stages of life, from childhood through adolescence all the way to and maybe through young adulthood. They're the ones that are supposed to set you up for the next grades. They're the ones also dishing out the grades which can make or break your plans, and a student can be completely screwed over due to a teacher being bad or having an unfair grading rubric. I'm all for protecting the amazing teachers in society, but I also believe tenure should be abolished because so many teachers who become complacent over the years just sit in and rake in their paychecks as they barely engage the class and just sit on their computer. Teachers are absolutely instrumental in making someone set on a path toward greatness, or sending them into the depths. I had a substitute teacher come up to me during class and say I thought Indians were supposed to be smart. She said this to me in high school. Yeah, I remember when I almost OD'd off a reading of Catcher in the Rye/S. What about someone who's a bad drug dealer? Or a bad teacher who teaches drug dealing? History teachers are evil. My pharmacist is very sympathetic. During my junior year of high school I decided to take an introductory CS course since it seemed like a useful skill to have. The teacher paced the class with the best students and let everybody else fall behind. He was always joking around and didn't take questions or concerns seriously. Most students didn't complain because if a student was struggling and asked for help, he'd just bump their grade instead. I was completely lost and had to constantly go to upperclassmen for help with homework and projects. After that class I felt like I could never find success in programming or computer science, and completely wrote off that possibility for my college major, despite still having an interest in the subject. When I got to college my roommate was taking the introductory CS course and asked me to take it with him. I was hesitant but eventually decided to take it and realized that I not only still like CS, but was actually good at it. The class was well paced, and I could always ask the professor or TAS for help. Last semester I added CS and statistics as a double major, and I even succeeded in a software engineering internship this summer. I've always been bad at math, and having a bad math teacher who didn't give a shit about you until you were failing math didn't help at all. I ended up failing math and had to take summer school. My summer school teacher for math was so good and I understood everything so well even though he had to rush all of the topics in a month. Summer school is only 1 month. This is absolute proof that a good teacher can change the outcome of everything. I literally hated math after that, but that teacher made me like it again. That is why college, and education in general, sucks on Mexico, but the two teachers that are really at their work leave a deep mark in your life. My high school physics teacher tried to discourage me from getting interested in or learning about physics outside of what he felt like teaching. I tried asking him about dark matter to get some understanding of it, since he seemed, to me, to be the most qualified person to do so in my life, and he told me it was a bullshit theory and not worth learning about. Here I am 5 years later with a bachelor's degree in astrophysics and applying to grad schools to research large-scale matter interactions and cosmology. FYI, teachers and their self-righteous bullshit enable bad teachers and contribute to the bad experiences good kids suffer at the hands of their colleagues. And for those of you who by reflex will reply about how humble you are, just look at how UP was forced to edit a completely unbiased opinion to avoid a ton of egotistical childlike spam. Amen. You spend more time with teachers than your own family, and they have the power to turn you off of learning forever. Unpopular. Wow, well, I guess it just really depends on what you consider a bad teacher then, doesn't it? My biology teacher last year was against vaccines. He believed that nature can heal anything, but the government is trying to hide that, and that nobody should eat sugar because it's drugs. And no, I'm not in the US. It depends on what you mean by influence. Do you mean they might affect moral development? This depends on the teacher and how far he or she strays from assigned material. Otherwise, the culture of the drug dealer, in addition to the effect of the drugs taken, is probably much worse. A bad teacher threw me off the path that I wanted to pursue for education, and I'm still bitter about it. I couldn't control which teacher I had in high school, but I could control if I went to a drug dealer. Bad teachers are a gateway drug. Unpopular. Don't just lump all drug dealers into the piece of shit category. I've known plenty of people who sold drugs, especially psychedelics, that were not only fantastic humans, but also contributed to society. My last acid dealer was working on his PhD in chemical engineering. ITT, angry, indignant, but shitty teachers preparing there as a teacher. Remarks and memes. All of my dealers have been pretty cool guys. And most teachers are awful.